There were no tablets. Tablets didn't exist before then. And then a whole industry of tablets was generated because of the iPad. And everyone said the same thing. Why would I want an iPad? I have an iPhone, I have a computer. This is a waste of time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again to Learn English with Teachify. Wow, what's going on? Mickey, Will, what is all of this?
Well, I don't actually know what that is. I discovered it by chance, I think, like a lot of people. And what did I have? Fireworks with the thumbs up? I think it was fireworks, yeah. The gestures. I like the gestures. You get some little oh, there we go. If you're not looking at this, guys, and you're just listening to it, me and Will are being a bit stupid, and we're just using the hand gestures to get different effects, motion effects on the screens behind us. How are you, Lewis? How's things?
I'm not bad. I mean, a little bit distracted and frustrated this week and last week because I've got people working on my roof and they're replacing all of the windows. When it's raining, they don't come. So yesterday, for example, was quite relaxing because it was raining. But today, it seems like it's a relatively sunny day. So I have people speaking and walking on top of my roof. Sometimes they're hammering, sometimes they're drilling. And it's a nightmare, to be honest. But
The joys of working remotely.
yeah, this is definitely one of the big downsides. But overall, I'd say that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, in my opinion.
Nice. Question, Lewis, just to piggyback off of that, as Will likes to say,
Yeah.
that really useful phrasal verb that we all use.
In this, well, we use it. We have like 20 minutes speaking a week, and we use it every single week
That is true.
in those 20 minutes.
Lewis, if 50% of your time working remotely, you had to put up with noise of neighbors or drilling or something, and 50% of the time working remotely was completely peaceful and silence, would you still opt for remote working?
No. It's honestly, it's the thing that I hate the most. And I had a similar problem last year where it wasn't actually my flat that people were doing work on, but it was like right next door. And it was probably noisier than this is at the moment because they
Oh,
were
really?
using like heavy machinery all the time. But the difference here is that it's actually my house that has been affected. So then the
Yeah.
people are closer. So it feels like I have no kind of privacy. And at some point, they're going to like walk through the window and replace it. And I need to be focused. I don't like to have distractions. And of course, you can have distractions in the office. But if you know that your office is going to be relatively peaceful and a nice place to work, then I wouldn't mind going to the office as long as I had the flexibility to work remotely when I needed to, if I was traveling, visiting people, or whatever.
Sounds like an absolute nightmare. And we've also, on that, we've forgot about Will to introduce him. Will, how are
Oh,
you?
Will, hello, you're here too.
That's all right, guys. It's all right. I was quite enjoying the chat, to be honest, between you guys. It's always nice to listen to you speak.
And you're wearing a nice t-shirt. What's that? Could you show us
Thank
that?
you very much. Of course, this is the latest fashion. I mean, people talk about Ralph Lauren, Hugo Boss. They talk about Louis Vuitton, Chanel. Well, these are the new Teachify t-shirts. The Teachify tees, t-shirt fives. I don't know, but yeah, these are the new Teachify t-shirts, and I have to say, I'm loving them, Lewis. And this has become my new go-to t-shirt. Okay, it's the one I will always use. If I need something, I will wear the Teachify t-shirt. It just makes me feel happy, you know? And that's the power of Teachify t-shirts, which you can buy from, do we have a website yet?
No.
Teachifytees.com.
You cannot buy them yet. Limited, well, not even limited. This is
Unique items.
yeah. But you can buy this one off me. Email me. I'll set you a price.
Exactly. Yeah.
But no, everything's good, Lewis. Thank you very much for asking. And just being happy. That's all.
Being happy. Well, on that note, who knows? Maybe in the future we will have Teachify tees available for sale if people really want them. We will see. But for now, let's focus on the topic. And this is a topic that you two absolutely love. I don't mind it either. And we're going to be speaking about a company, perhaps one of the most or the most important company in the world on planet Earth. And it is the name of a fruit. So actually, before recording, I asked ChatGPT to make some conversation questions related to Apple. And it came back with me, what is your favorite variety of apple? To which I said, Granny Smith, of course.
Not Pink Lady.
Not Pink Lady, I'm afraid. But anyway, yes, we're going to be speaking about the company Apple. So, first things first. Mickey, when I say Apple, what comes to mind?
Oh, what springs to mind? What comes to mind when you say the brand Apple? I just think perfection. Just simply perfection.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna let that hang in the air, and I'm just gonna let you guys absorb that.
Will
I
is
think
already
you
clapping you. So, Will, you are applauding. Why? Do you agree? Are you on the same page as Mickey? Do you see eye to eye?
I think we are 100% on the same page. I think you encapsulated everything that is Apple, its products, the iPhone, the Mac, the AirPods, the mouse, the keyboard, the experience of going to an Apple store. One word is perfection. I mean, it's just truly wonderful. I don't know what my life would be like without Apple.
Well, I know it wouldn't be as good as it is. That's a fact.
That's the thing. That's the thing. That's it. Now, as you know, for example, we started the classes with these hand gestures, which were sparking different animations on our screen. And this is a result of Apple, for example. And I have to say, thinking about it, it's actually quite annoying sometimes. And I don't know how to turn it off, which is extremely annoying when you're in a meeting with a client, but that's not a problem. Apart from that, perfection. All right. That's what Apple. What comes to mind for you, Lewis? You seem very anti, I don't know,
Listen, I'm
corporation.
not anti Apple. Like I have had an iPhone for like a decade now, and I love iPhones, and I don't imagine myself going back to like a Samsung or anything like that because I think once you go iPhone, you can't go back really, because of the camera, because of the feel, because of the design. And I think the thing that stands out most with Apple products is the design. It's
Mm.
not so much the features and the power of the computing and stuff like that. It's the way it looks and feels. And at least I've always thought that it's more like you're trying to tell people that you have Apple products as a way of showing off almost. It's like you join the club of Apple guys. Do you know what
This
I
is
mean?
why you're slightly against it. You're a bit of a renegade, aren't you, Lewis? You like to
I'm a
be,
rebel. I mean,
you're a bit of a rebel.
because I love the iPhone, I love the AirPods. iPads, to be honest, I don't really see the point in them. Um, like
To be
it's
honest with you, if you could keep one Apple product, you only have to keep one MacBook, iPhone. You take the phone. What would you take,
Mac.
Will?
easily every day,
One
every day. Phone
I
for
think
me.
I would go for the Mac, you know.
Mac,
Sometimes with the
100%.
MacBook, what I like to do is I like to leave it like when I'm watching television sometimes in the evening, I put the MacBook next to it in a stand and I put some candles around it. And sometimes I'm watching television, but I'm not actually watching it. I'm just looking at the MacBook. That's how much I like it.
Just sitting at the MacBook with the candles going, Sham la la la,
I work more. Since I had a MacBook, since like the last 7 years, I made the transition to Mac or to Apple. I feel like I've definitely put in at least 300 hours worth of work extra just because I like working on it. Like, didn't even think about it. Think about it. That's free working time for people that use MacBooks.
I don't know what it is, but I find it hard for me to believe all of this. And I don't really understand the level of adoration and love that you guys have for
Yeah.
Apple and MacBooks because I started using a MacBook like, I don't know, 4 years
3 or 4 years ago, yeah.
ago.
Me too, eh, Lewis? We started at the same time.
And I agree that it's probably better than like normal, I don't know, Dell or HP, but I don't think it's so much better in order to warrant the extra price that you have to pay.
I disagree. Look, I just have to say this. You do not maximize your windows. And this is the biggest problem of all Mac users. Okay. They do not maximize the windows, meaning they do not maximize the potential of the multi-touch touchpad. All right. This is the big thing. I feel people are missing it. It's so smooth switching between windows. And then when I use my girlfriend's PC, it's so awkward and clunky. Everything about Mac is just smooth. It's like Minority Report, but on a touchpad. It's a beautiful experience, I have to say.
Talking about that, touching back on what you said, Lewis, with the price point, I feel like the phones, particularly laptops, not so much. I feel like laptops more or less for the same kind of functionalities. They're more or less in the same price bracket. Obviously, you can get like really budget laptops, which will cost a couple of €100. But like the phones for me, I feel they've hit their limit of how like the price point. I think their phones are too expensive now. It's crazy. It's more or less the same price, or it is the same price now as a MacBook and a phone. Like that's how they've managed to slowly creep up and increase the prices. That it's actually the same price, more or less.
Yeah, I would say just to this because I think that I always have my phone in my hand and I actually use my phone for so many things. And right now, if I wanted to, I could be using my phone to have this video call as well. And if I wanted to, I could also use my phone for teaching classes as well. I think it's so diverse that you can do like everything on your phone. And with your laptop, of course, it's very useful. You need it to work. But then, I don't know, maybe I've been unlucky that my MacBook overheats sometimes and I can hear it like genuinely. I can hear it sometimes if I'm using lots of different things at the same time. And it's like,
I never get that. But then, do I have many things open at the same time? Do I even actually work on it?
you just stare at it.
Just look at it and worship it. But I have to say, my old MacBook, it did have a few moments when, after teaching God knows how many classes, and then all of the PowerPoints that you have open, plus the things, it starts to overheat. But that's normal. You're working it hard, Lewis. At least it doesn't break. A regular computer would break and explode and possibly cause harm. So you're lucky that the MacBook handles it so well.
Any negatives? I'd just like to, because I feel like we've just we should be
Zero
sponsored by Apple and they should be giving us free merchandise, is what I think.
But if anybody's listening to this and you work for Apple, you are a genius, first of all.
And you need to improve your English.
Oh, yeah. Get in touch and we would happily receive some new MacBooks and iPhones and a little bit of everything. Why not?
Do you mind if I ask you a question, Lewis? Because you, not as someone who is not 100% behind the Apple brand, I'm just curious. How would you say Apple has influenced the industry in general? And for me, in my lifetime, the first Apple products that I knew there were computers, but it didn't really change anything. But the iPod was something that just changed everything. And that was in my lifetime. But I imagine it's probably similar for you. But how do you feel that do you feel it's pushed every single time?
Yeah, I'd say that it has revolutionized the market on a few occasions. Then, of course, it stagnates. And then one of the other criticisms behind Apple is that usually they kind of don't change a lot from phone to phone or model to model, but they increase the price at the same time. But go on, Mickey.
Well, I am like the proof. Was the pudding's in the proof, or the proof's in the pudding?
The proof in the pudding.
Proof in the pudding.
The proof is in the pudding.
Every expression you seem to get wrong. because I actually downgraded my phone, Apple as well. I went from a 13 Pro to an iPhone SE, personal reasons, just because I wanted to be a little bit more disconnected. And to be honest with you, the difference is not that much. There are certain things, like the camera is obviously not as good, but it is very good on the SE. Obviously, don't have the face recognition, so you've gone back to having a button, which I was always a fan of, and I think a lot of old Apple users or iPhone users liked the button as well. But in terms of what I use the phone for, it's exactly the same. And there's only a few downsides, like the battery duration is not as good as the iPhone 13 Pro, and I assume your phones. But to be honest with you, going back wasn't that different, I found. So it's crazy, like, to think about that. You're still paying twice as much. It would be 3 times as much for an SC from what I had before, and it's basically the same. That's my opinion.
Sorry, just first of all, I thought this was an opportunity to teach the expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if something's already working, don't make changes. It's already working. So this is a nice little expression. But I used an Android. It was a Huawei. I don't know the pronunciation exactly, but I say that Huawei phone, which was, I want to say, like, super tech.
Sorry, I switched off for a moment there. Did you just say Huawei? Is that what you were using?
Is that what? I don't know how to say it. Is it?
I would say
Huawei. Huawei.
Huawei.
The people who worked for Huawei in Spain, the Spanish people, were saying Huawei, so I just went with that. But I think in America they say Huawei, so who knows? But this phone, very technical, genius. You could do many things. You could split the screen. You could add layers to the screen. It was wonderful. And then when I moved to the iPhone, it almost felt like I was restricted, because I was like, oh, I want this feature. But in actual fact, the simplicity of it just made it easy to use. And then you realize you're paying more just so it's simpler in the end. And now the user interface obviously is excellent, but it's a very strange concept. They keep it simple and therefore don't overcomplicate things. And for that reason, they charge you more. So now that I think about it, it's a ripoff. I've gone wrong.
Just going back to your question that you asked me about how Apple had like revolutionized the market and kind of pushed the limits of what was possible in terms of design and technology, I think it all goes back to Steve Jobs, because I don't know if you've seen the films about him and the documentaries, but it's clear that he was the one that was kind of paving the way for others to follow in his footsteps. And he was the one that was really striving for greatness in everything. And he was never satisfied with something just like being functional. It had to also look good, feel good, be smooth. So he was always striving for perfection, which is a very interesting thing. And I think this is what led Apple to making the iPod. And I'm sure you all remember the big speech that he gave in front of loads of people announcing the fact that they had created the iPod. And of course, this was unlike anything else that existed at the time, because the only
an iconic moment in technology, wasn't, in the history of technology.
You could only compare it to like a Walkman, which were cool, of course, but it's not quite the same. And then from there, they revolutionized things once again with the iPhone. But I think since then, perhaps the innovation has slowed down a little bit.
I think there's only so far they can go with the actual, until phones become like a chip, like where you don't actually have a physical phone and we're seeing something like, I don't know, in your eye, like automatically or something. Like, we're still, you kind of hit a limit as well. And also with the screen, with the camera, like you need to have the camera, kind of the cutout of the camera on the screen. I feel like until it moves away from a physical device and it's kind of, we're looking at something just with our eyes naturally, we're always going to be at a kind of limit, I think.
Sorry, just to give a little bit of pushback on that little expression, to push back on someone's opinion. You said that they didn't really revolutionize anything after, for example, the phone. But if you think about it, well, as you said, the iPad, you don't really see the point. In the past, I have used one and I thought it was useful at that time, but now no. But there were no tablets. Tablets didn't exist before then. And then a whole industry of tablets was generated because of the iPad. And everyone said the same thing. Why would I want an iPad? I have an iPhone, I have a computer. This is a waste of time. But an industry was built. And I would argue the same with the Apple Watch was an introduction to wearable smart devices.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of like Samsung, Google, all of them started doing it. Now they existed before in a more basic sense, but this one, I thought the Apple Watch also it created an industry, or at least gave a big boom, an industry boom. And the final product, and I'm curious what you both think about this, is the Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be pretty incredible. First, way too expensive at the moment, but that's normal, I think, until the price comes down and it becomes accessible to the masses, which is when we'll really see how good it is. But at the moment, it's too far out of the average person's price reach. But I think it's impressive. I'd actually love to spend some time playing on it just to see how good it is. I've watched quite a few videos on YouTube. There's a couple of tech review experts that I follow, and it looks incredible, like incredible. And also, sorry to Facebook and Meta, comparing it to their ones, it looks a lot better. But that's what Apple do, isn't it? They bring out premium quality equipment at the end of the day, or software.
We watched a Black Mirror episode, and there were two people, just one with a mouse, one with a keyboard, etc., and they were just wearing glasses and doing all of the same things, but just with glasses. And I think that's your end point, more or less. So at the moment it's a big device, but I think gradually it will get smaller as Apple move on.
No, I know what you mean. To be honest, I haven't really done my research on the Apple Vision Pro. I've seen like the initial video that they brought out, and it looks really cool. But yeah, it still feels very far away from what is possible for most people. But this actually reminds me of something else that you didn't bring up, which is in favor of your argument of Apple revolutionizing and like pushing the limits of what's possible and paving the way for other competitors to do the same. And it's AirPods, because I remember I was actually in Australia, and I started seeing people wearing AirPods. And at that time in Europe, it wasn't really common. I think usually with Apple products and tech products, they usually come out first and are cheaper in the US, Canada, and Australia before in other markets. And I was looking around, seeing people walking without any kind of cables, and I was like, "Oh, that looks so cool! It looks so like high tech and futuristic." And I didn't have one at that time, but I was jealous of the people who did. So then 6 months later, when I came back to Europe, I started seeing people wearing them as well. And I was like, "Oh, wow, this looks amazing." I was shocked at how much it cost, but they still led the way in making wireless headphones that looked cool, because of course wireless headphones existed already, but they weren't as small and easy to use and stuff like that.
Yeah, they were like those wraparound ones, weren't they? Those ones quite big and bulky. But it's funny, have you ever lost your AirPods and you've had to go back to having like a cable headphones? This happened to me once, and I had to go running, because it's for people that love running, it's so good. And then I had to go back to putting a cable into my phone and trying to plug it round like the arm strap and under the t-shirt and coming through and then putting them in. And I was like, how do we do this all the time? Like, it's just so inconvenient.
Do you remember, I think when they whichever phone it was, they released the phone, and then it was shocking news. They were like, there's no headphone jack for the phone. And everyone lost their mind. They were like, whoa, hold on. This is, you can't do this. How do we plug our headphones in? And Apple were like, well, you can buy our earphones that don't have a thing. Everyone criticized, and then in the end, everyone switched. And so yeah, it's just one of those things. Right. What can we say?
Just on that note of AirPods and running, there is one little problem that I have with this, and I can't run with AirPods.
Really?
Maybe I'm running too fast. I'm not sure.
Oh, flash.
But the AirPods, they fall out. Like if I'm moving too much and
Oh,
there's too
really?
much like friction and stuff like that, they fall out. So I use these for work, for walking, for traveling, anything like that. But if I'm running or doing sport, I need the big ones, like the kind of headphones that you put over the top of your ears.
Well, like the big, like the Bose kind of ones, you know, those
Exactly.
the Beats kind of thing.
That's what I use for running because I know that it's not going to fall off.
Oh
That's
my
the
God.
one little problem I have with AirPods. But apart from that, it's true that after the iPhone, this is my second favorite product, maybe.
My God.
Nice.
I think your ears get hot.
A little bit, but
Yeah.
warm and toasty.
Yeah,
Awesome.
fair enough.
I think we'll call it a day there. Spending 20 minutes, 25 minutes speaking all about the Apple brand, Steve Jobs, what products we prefer. Of course, let us know in the comments if you like Apple, first of all. And secondly, what products do you have and which ones do you like the most?
Guys,
Oh,
thank you very much.
like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And if you want a Teachify t-shirt, let Will know.
Yeah.
I will
Thank
sell
you.
it.
Teachify your life. Bye
Cheers,
bye.
guys.
Bye, bye, bye.